right now on 5 on your side at 10.
Thursday, rain. It's not a total washout, but most of us see a decent rain tomorrow. Why the impacts are much greater, well to our south.
Fleeing St. Louis.
We have dealt with struggles since we've opened with burglaries, theft.
A popular restaurant closing, the latest business blaming a downtown decline. Our top story, show me peace.
What is it going to take for us to curb the violence?
Tonight, one group's neighborhood blitz, just 2 days after the tragic death of a 4-year-old girl.
More on that in a moment. We start tonight at 10 with breaking news that we've been following. Right now, crews are searching the Potomac River near Washington, D.C. for survivors after a mid-air collision between a passenger jet and a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter.
There is no immediate word on casualties. NBC News is reporting at least 4 victims have been taken to the hospital. Now, this happened as the plane approached Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport in Arlington, Virginia. The mid-air collision caught on camera. This is courtesy of EarthCam. You can see a large fireball in the sky and then several fireballs falling to the ground. The passenger jet was an American Airlines regional flight 5341 traveling from Wichita, Kansas to Washington. 60 people were on board. 3 people were on board the Black Hawk helicopter. All air travel has been grounded in the area. We will continue to follow this breaking news story. We'll bring you updates throughout this newscast and on the 5 on Your Side app.
Now back to our other top story. Hours ago, members of Show Me Peace hit the streets in North St. Louis County.
Now, their visit comes 48 hours after a 4-year-old girl was shot and killed in the neighborhood. 5 on Your Side's Robert Townsend was there as they shared their life-saving message.
They knocked on doors.
It's a heavy situation, man.
Passed out their informational flyers and pounded the pavement in the name of peace.
Let's just hit door to door and just talk to families.
Wednesday afternoon, Jason Watson and his Show Me Peace team were up and down Castle Drive in the Castle Point neighborhood in North St. Louis County.
4-year-old, man, that's, think about my baby.
2 days after a 4-year-old girl was shot inside her home Monday afternoon and died at a hospital. Right now, police still haven't said much about the shooting. A neighbor tells 5 on Your Side the child lived with her mother, grandmother, uncle, and possibly other children.
So for us, we're now making a call to the family. We understand you probably under a lot of weight, and we're not here to really ask any questions. We just want to know, how can we love and support you?
We love everybody. All right.
The Show Me Peace team also here to call for an end to gun violence and plea for peace. For the past year and a half, the violence interrupters have been on the front lines helping to reduce crimes in 4 St. Louis city neighborhoods.
These guys are not just talking the talk, they're actually sharing their personal experiences with the people they meet because they've actually spent time in prison for gun-related violence.
We can make things happen in our own community. So they're teaching people how to interrupt violence, prevent violence, de-escalate violence.
17 men and 8 women dedicated to choosing peace over violence, life over loss. They say it's more than a motto, it's their mission.
We're not saying that we have all of the answers, right? What we are saying is we recognize we have influence to make that impact.
Robert Townsend, 5 on Your Side.
Show Me Peace is supported by Mission St. Louis and funded by the City of St. Louis Office of Violence Prevention. Tonight, St. Louis restaurant owners are speaking out about a need for more investment into downtown. One is now closing her restaurant in part due to safety concerns.
And the other is scaling back due to a lack of foot traffic. Brent Solomon is live downtown with more on their difficult decision, Brent.
Well, it really is no secret that many businesses are leaving downtown. This as some developers are looking to breathe new life here. But that's not happening fast enough for 2 business owners I caught up with.
We have to close our doors.
For Chef Brandy Artis, it means coming to terms with reality. She opened Simply Delicious Restaurant on Pine Street in 2022.
We have dealt with struggles over the last, actually since we've opened, with burglaries, theft, having people come into the restaurant that are homeless, coming in messing with customers.
This month, the restaurant served its last meal.
I absolutely feel like if there was better infrastructure in place, if there were more businesses that were open.
Perhaps it would have helped with foot traffic.
If it just wasn't as profitable as we thought it would be, being downtown.
Over at Rated Test Kitchen, owners are scaling back to only serve dinner. No more coffee, sandwiches, and pastries, the cafe offered by day. And earlier this month, Board of Aldermen President Megan Green tweeted these photos touring the vacant AT&T building with the owner, who is hoping to soon bring it back to its former glory. And last year, we told you how the group Oliver Properties acquired the 6 Chord building here at 10th and Washington to make a $7 million renovation.
But I think that it takes more people like myself to take that risk and invest into it. Because if there's only one person doing it, that's not going to be enough to make it make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially without the proper backing. And we get a group of 10 restaurateurs that open up, over 25 restaurants downtown. Now you're looking at a different footprint.
A lot of the things that were coming into the city with large conventions, with those large conventions stopping, some of them in St. Louis, we did suffer because of that.
City leaders could soon invest $74 million into downtown. Some in the community here wanted to see a larger investment. I can also tell you that we have learned from sources that the St. Louis Business Journal is planning to leave downtown, but remain in the city. We're live tonight. Brent Solomon, 5 on your side.
And 5 on your side is also leaving downtown. After 78 years, plans are still being finalized. We plan to move to a new facility within the city limits by the end of the year.
Tonight, St. Louis Mayor Tashara Jones is responding after a high-profile businessman made a big donation to her political opponent. Clayco founder Bob Clark gave more than $100,000 to the Political Action Committee supporting Alderwoman Kara Spencer. She's one of 3 candidates running against Jones. Clark calls his contribution a message to City Hall that it's time for change.
I was optimistic about Tashara, so I'm as disappointed as anybody by her, failed leadership as the mayor of the city of St. Louis.
Mr. Clark is trying to buy an opponent. He's trying to buy the mayor's office. The mayor's office is not for sale, and neither is our democracy. And Kara Spencer should return that money.
And Kara Spencer responded to the mayor in a statement tonight saying she thinks Clark is, quote, investing in a different path for the city. As the mayor should know, I don't coordinate it with the PAC in any way, shape, or form. If she acts differently with her PACs, that's up to her. The primary for the municipal election is March 4th. You can vote for as many candidates as you want. The top 2 vote getters will square off in the April 8th election.
Tonight, there's a new director of the Environmental Protection Agency, and he has a promise for the St. Louis region.
The yeas are 56, the nays are 42. The nomination is confirmed.
Missouri Senator Eric Schmidt presided over today's confirmation vote for Lee Zeldin. Missouri's other senator, Josh Hawley, says before the vote, he got a commitment from President Trump's nominee to visit the Westlake landfill in Bridgeton and clean up the radioactive waste buried there. Recent reports from the EPA show the problem is worse than previously thought.
A Franklin County woman just pardoned last week by President Trump for her role in the January 6th Capitol riot has been sentenced to 10 years in prison for a deadly drunk driving crash. That crash happened almost exactly 1 year later. Emily Hernandez was driving the wrong way on I-44 when she hit another car head-on. Victoria Wilson died. Her husband Ryan Wilson was injured. Today in court, Hernandez called her actions ungodly and apologized to the victim's family for the first time.
To go as many miles as Emily did, how do you do that? It was some relief to be able to turn and look her in her eyes and tell her how much harm she had really done to us.
Hernandez's defense attorney tried to recommend 120 days in parole, but the court denied that. Extended coverage of today's sentencing will air at 10:30 on the 5+ streaming app.
And we continue to follow breaking news out of Washington, D.C. Right now, crews are searching the Potomac River near Washington for survivors after a mid-air collision between a passenger jet and a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter.
NBC News is about to break in with another special report, and we'll take that special report. But here's what we know so far. At least 4 victims have been rushed to the hospital. Now, this happened as the plane approached Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport in Arlington, Virginia. And you can see this mid-air collision was actually caught on camera. I think it just went past, but this is courtesy of EarthCam. You would see a large fireball in the sky and then several fireballs falling to the ground. The passenger jet was an American Airlines regional flight 5341 traveling from Wichita, Kansas to Washington. 60 people were on board. 3 people were on board the Black Hawk helicopter. And now we'll take that NBC special report.
This is an NBC News special report. Here's Lester Holt.
Good evening, everyone. We're coming on the air with breaking news. The crash of a major airline flight, the first we've seen in the United States in more than 15 years. Here's where things stand right now. The FAA has confirmed that an American Airlines regional jet carrying 60 passengers and 4 crew members collided with a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter. The aircraft crashing into the Potomac River. The flight was en route from Wichita, Kansas to Reagan National Airport in Washington when the accident happened just after 9 p.m. Eastern Time. An Army official says preliminary indications are that there were 3 people on board the Black Hawk, the chopper that the jet collided with. Emergency officials say they are coordinating a search and rescue operation in the river. We do not know yet information about casualties. President Trump has also been briefed about what happened. I want to go to Peter Alexander right now. He is on the scene along the river where the search is underway. Peter, have they located or pinpointed the area of where these aircraft went down?
Lester, we can't say with certainty if they have, but let me give you a sense of exactly where we're standing. We are on the Virginia side. We are on the west side of the Potomac River right now. And at this hour, obviously, it is pitch black. But in the distance, if we push the camera in right now, you can see what is basically the southern portion of the Washington Mall, an area known as Haynes Point, familiar to anybody who's been in this area, for a popular public golf course there. And in the last 10 minutes, Lester, we saw those emergency vehicles almost in unison moving south to that place. Their lights are flashing, as you see, but there is a stream of lights all across both sides of the river at this hour. To give you a better understanding of where we are standing right now, we're about half mile to a mile south of DCA, Reagan National Airport along the Potomac, and clearly this is an urgent effort to try to identify where the plane went down and to try to find any survivors that they can at this time. The water temperature, according to our meteorologist Bill Cairns, said to be about 35 degrees right now, which means hypothermia sets in perhaps 30 minutes or a little bit longer, which gives, if this took place about an hour, 2 hours ago, a very short window for an effort to try to save anybody here. I got to tell you, Lester, this is a very complex airspace. It's the intersection of the planes that are landing at DCA and also the very protected airspace that is around the Washington Mall, the nation's capital, and the White House as well. We have now heard from President Trump, who I'm told has been briefed as part of this effort. He says, "I've been fully briefed on the terrible accident which just took place at Reagan National Airport. May God bless their souls. Thank you for the incredible work being done by our first responders. I am monitoring the situation and will provide more details as they arise." We are also hearing from both the Republican governor of the state of Virginia, the Democratic governor, Wes Moore, of the state of Maryland. They say that they have their state police departments actively involved right now, including from the Maryland side. We are told they are deploying divers to go into the water here with those frigid temperatures as well. Last thing I'll say, Lester, the blessing here is 55 degrees earlier today. This was iced over only a couple of days ago. The river is finally clear as it's thawed out. Back to you.
All right, Peter, thanks very much again. 60 people, 4 passengers, 60 passengers, 4 crew members on board this aircraft that went down. I want to go to Tom Costello, our aviation correspondent. Very busy airspace there. Explain who gets the right-of-way, if you will, in this area.
Well, Peter made the point. Not only do you have incredible air traffic there going into and out of Reagan Airport, and even though Reagan Airport is not the busiest airport in the country, it has the busiest runway in the country, runway 1. That tells you how much air traffic comes in and out. Now, this plane was coming in to land on the shorter runway. It's a regional jet coming in to land on runway 33 from the south, banking a little bit, left bank over the river, and then landing on runway 33. The video that appears to show this midair collision would appear to show the helicopter coming up from behind as this plane was on approach. And the question is going to be, was air traffic control, first of all, were they on the same radio frequency? Second of all, was air traffic control coordinating and aware of both aircraft? You want to watch the middle of the screen, not the plane taking off to the right. The middle of the screen shows that incredible collision. It appears that that helicopter came up from behind. The question is going to be, was air traffic control coordinating? Did the pilots see each other? Did they have collision avoidance systems operating? There are an awful lot of outstanding questions. The focus right now is this rescue.
All right, Tom, thanks very much. This plane, by the way, coming into D.C. Airport on a flight from Wichita, Kansas. That concludes this special report. We have much more now on our streaming network, NBC News Now, and online at NBCnews.com. We will, of course, update here as warranted. For now, I'm Lester Holt in New York. Good evening, everyone.
And again, no report of casualties. We don't know. We have been told by NBC News that 4 people have been taken to the hospital.
And of course, we will continue to monitor this through NBC News, on air and online. We'll be right back after this break. Let's check in now with Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell with the weather impact forecast. A beautiful day today.
Oh, really wasn't it nice?
And a little rain
so much
in the forecast.
Yeah, the sunshine's been bright the last couple of days. That's actually helped melt a lot of the snow. Tomorrow, don't think we'll see much sunshine. It is rain on the way tomorrow. The good news for St. Louis, you know, our ground's kind of muddy, just now thawing out. Plus, we have all that snow that kind of soaked into the ground as it melted and then froze. So you have a pretty wet ground around St. Louis. Down to the south of us, that's where the heaviest rain's going to be. 1 to 3, maybe 4 or 5 inches in parts of Arkansas. But for us, the heavy rain keeps shifting farther south. So we're thinking in the metro area now, and these numbers will get updated again from the blend of models. But the bottom line is the trend has been dropping off the amount of rainfall here for tomorrow. We're still going to have some wet roads, and the evening commute more likely to be slower than the morning commute. We're saying 7 o'clock for the rain start time around the metro area. Give or take an hour or two. The air is very dry, so we have to overcome that first. But bottom line tomorrow, if you're going to try to travel tomorrow, which you should not, avoid it, you just have to have a little extra time. Take along your rain gear. Make sure your windshield wipers are up to snuff here. After all that sleet and snow, they tend to start wearing a little bit. There's a look at the rain coming in to our south and southwest, even thunder down towards Dallas and Fort Worth tonight. The rain continues to increase into northwest Arkansas, eastern portions of Oklahoma. Clouds are starting to increase now. This leading edge of the rain, it looks like it's almost to Rolla, right? So yeah, on radar it is, but the air is incredibly dry, so we have to overcome that. Notice the difference in temperatures between Sullivan and Rolla and then getting into the metro area. Mid-40s down 44. Salem's an outlier there. 50 at Lake of the Ozarks right now, but 30 in Chesterfield, 31 in St. Charles. Don't think we have to worry about any freezing problems here going into the overnight hours. 36 now. That is the new low for the day, but temperatures will trend up overnight. Here's the timing on this. By 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, we may have some scattered showers in the area. It should be very light early on. Picks up as we head towards lunchtime. Heaviest rain slides by to our south. That's where Perryville down towards Fredericktown, a better chance of seeing an inch or so. Metro area, lesser amounts. Going north and west, you're basically scooting that on out of the picture as we go into Thursday night. And Friday, we'll watch this whole thing trudge off to the east, and the air coming in behind it isn't all that cold. This weekend is going to turn out to be spectacular to start the month of February. I mean, by February standards. 51, your high temperature for Thursday. 53 on Friday. We will be talking about those temperatures here, really peaking on Sunday as we climb up to 65 for the afternoon high. 65. That's Groundhog Day. I'm not sure if that's going to come back to hurt us somewhere down the road, but
let's hope not.
We'll see.
All right, Scott, thanks. Frank is here with sports.
Would you turn down a guaranteed $5 million a hockey player did today? A Billiken is battling a mysterious illness, and we salute the biggest winner in team sports.
This 5 on Your Side Sports Report is sponsored by Onder Law Injury Attorneys.
If you are an NHL player and somebody says you're going to make your $5 million, but you have to go play in Springfield in the American Hockey League for a while, would you take it? I'd go apartment hunting in Springfield right now. Brandon Saad said, I'm not doing that. Saad was waived yesterday, and he will forfeit the guaranteed $5 million the Blues owe him to avoid Springfield and become a free agent. I guess if you've already made $54 million, you can be a little choosy where you play. In terms of the squad, well, the Blues are in a funk right now. So how does their most famous fan feel about the team right now?
Not hitting on all cylinders. It feels like it's just there's one thing that they miss, or one bounce goes the wrong way, and it takes all the air out of the tires. And so I think once the bounces start going their way and they start hitting on all cylinders, they've got a shot to squeak in.
And that man, John Hamm, and Dr. Richard Shavitz will be with us for a star-studded Sports Plus on Sunday night at 10:30.
You know, I've been in St. Louis for 9.5 months, I guess. I'll say this, Kellen Thames, the best person I've met in St. Louis.
That gives you an idea of what kind of human being Kellen Thames is. The Billiken sophomore is going through a tough time. He didn't play last night, and he won't play in the foreseeable future. Thames will not be playing in any games. How and why is he not playing? Well, he has a rare cramping issue that can lock up his body. He doesn't want to be on the floor in a game that could cost him and his team. He has seen 4 doctors, and nothing has been solved quite yet. I asked him if he was afraid.
No, I know I'm okay. I got God on my side. You know, I'm not afraid of anything that is in my way. That as long as I'm able to walk, breathe, and everything, I just know I'm gonna be all right regardless.
Is there a part of you asking, why do I have to go through this?
I won't allow something like this, something small and something that I know that God will fix for me, to just affect me outside of basketball. So I just know I have a positive impact outside of basketball, and I'm gonna keep doing that.
High school hoops, Webster Groves and U City at Webster, and the Statesmen, they had some sensational moments. Look at Carl Whitehead twisting and turning. Here's the sophomore Mizzou and SLU loves, Scotty Atkinson, crossover step back 3. He erupted for 39 points. Webster rolls 74-58. Finally tonight, I always thought that after Jesus Christ, the 2 most perfect people to walk the earth were Kurt Warner and Stan Musial. Let's add a third, Patrick Mahomes. He's on the cusp of doing something that has never been done in the NFL and rarely done in sports. That is being the best player and winning 3 straight titles. You know, Wayne Gretzky never did, but Michael Jordan did. And that's not all Mahomes has in common with Michael. Jordan kept NBA legends like Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, and Patrick Ewing from ever winning a ring. And Mahomes may now be doing the same with Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow, although they're all young and who knows what can happen. The difference is this. Mahomes also happens to be the most humble, genuine, and nicest superstar in sports. Jordan, who I do love, slugged teammates and taunted the opposition. So when you are watching the Super Bowl and you may not like the Chiefs, just sit back and enjoy, because you are witnessing greatness on and off the field. More news after this break.
We continue to follow breaking news out of the nation's capital. A massive search effort is underway after a passenger jet and a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter collided in midair near Reagan Washington National Airport over the Potomac River.
All right, let's take a look at this video once again. It's courtesy of EarthCam. Here's what we know. The American Eagle flight operated by PSA was flying from Wichita, Kansas to Washington. There were 60 passengers and 4 crew members on board. The flight number was 5341. Again, this is out of Wichita, Kansas. 3 people, we're told, were on board the Black Hawk helicopter. NBC is reporting that 4 people have been found and taken to the hospital. Weather impact meteorologist Topper Schutt from our Washington, D.C. station says the rescue efforts are impacted by 42-degree water in the river. At temperatures like that, a person would only have between 30 to 40 minutes in the water. All air travel in the area has been grounded at this time. We're going to continue to follow this developing story on air and online at KSDK.com. If you're old enough to remember, In 1982, there was a plane crash into the Potomac River. I think it was weather related, if I recall, but people were actually diving into the water to try to save people.
Yeah, imagine that massive search effort for all of these passengers.
Yeah, and the sky was clear tonight in Washington.
Yeah, and if you watch the video, it looked like the Black Hawk helicopter came up from behind the passenger plane. All right, Scott has a final check of the weather impact forecast.
So their weather was clear. Ours is going to be wet tomorrow with limited impacts. The usual slowdowns that you'll face just as the rain moves in. We all have to slow down, but hopefully we'll be able to wash away some of that salt that's on the road. Did a lot of melting today. We're at 51 tomorrow for the high. We really don't go below freezing over the weekend. Should be back into the mid 60s on Sunday. So with the exception of the big, huge snow piles, we should finish most of the snow this weekend.
There you have it. 5 on your side at 10. We're always streaming on 5+.
And be sure to get the latest on this plane crash with Today in St. Louis starting at 4 a.m.